Okay.
Wow. Welcome back, episode 4.
Episode 4. Welcome. Welcome to Wine and Once, a Once Upon a Time podcast. Every week we run through a new episode of Once Upon a Time. I mean, it's an old episode, but it's new to us. It's not. We've watched it several
New
times.
to us.
No,
We've seen all of these so many times. But the anger is new every time.
every single time. I'm Lo.
I'm Dee.
And we are your hosts.
We are. This is a special week.
Very special. This week we are watching the first Cinderella episode of Once Upon a Time. So we have brought on
I really don't like that you had to...
more, but, only in bits and pieces.
Season 7. All of season 7.
Oh, I forgot about season 7. I wasn't even referring to season 7.
Ooh.
But yeah, this is our first episode of Cinderella on Once Upon a Time. So we brought in one of our very best friends in the whole wide world, our resident Ella-ologist, Keiliy. Welcome.
Yeah.
Yes, hi. But yeah, I am a self-proclaimed Ella-ologist. I have been researching and writing about Cinderella since 2011, so 10 years, which is
Long
exciting.
as the show has been on.
Oh, no. Was it this show that inspired you to start researching Cinderella?
No, I actually didn't get into Once Upon a Time until it came on Netflix, and then I watched the first season, and then the second season started airing, and I watched that live. But yeah, I came to it a little bit late. I
Smart.
did drop off midway through season 2.
Even
So-
smarter.
But I think this when I watched earlier today, and that was my third time seeing this episode because I tried to rewatch Once Upon a Time with my partner. That didn't go well. So and then I watched bits and pieces with you guys earlier as well. And so 3.5, 4 watches of this one episode.
4 times too many.
As someone who has dedicated a whole podcast to rewatching Once Upon a Time, may I suggest don't rewatch Once Upon a Time.
No, we'll do it for you. That's why we're
I
here.
love the show. I do. It's one of my favorite pastimes to watch the show, but it's not a particularly good show.
Not quality.
It's fun.
It is fun.
I'm going to venture and say that I am a better Cinderella writer than the showrunners and any subsequent writers who come onto the show.
That's fair.
Sorry.
I would agree with that.
I don't think you'd find much argument here.
No.
But
no.
What an episode it was.
It was. But before we dive in too much, how's everyone doing? How's life? What's new?
What's new and exciting? Nothing's new and exciting. But it's all good. It's all good. I'm happy it's Wednesday. Happy to be on the downhill slope of the week. Thank goodness it's been a long one, but this has been the first week that I've actually had time, so that's been
That's
really
nice.
Yeah.
That is
Very
nice
to relax a little bit.
That's fair. That's fair. Keiliy, what's going on? How's everything?
Everything's on the up and up. I feel like last week in everyone's personal life was just bad. So
Bonkers.
Last week wasn't good.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
glad to hear it's going better though.
Oh, I'm good. For once, I'm actually not having a seltzer. I finally ran out of the ones that you left here like over a month ago.
Worked her way through it. Bravo.
We got there. I'm drinking. I don't know if this is much better. It's a frosé.
Well, that's okay because I am drinking a rosé.
Oh,
So
that's cute.
the mind meld.
I'm not good at this assignment. I'm drinking water.
That's okay.
Hydration is important.
I mean, for a podcast called Wine and Once, we've had wine exactly 0 times. So
I think I've had it one time.
Oh, I think you're right.
I think I did one time. This will be number 2. That's a 50% batting average. That is better than Emma's superpower. So I'm doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Worry about it.
We don't talk about the lie detector.
Oh, we do. Just at
We
the
do a
end.
lot. I talk about it every single week. Well, on that note, should we dive into this week's episode?
I think so. I think there's going to be a lot to talk about.
I
And
can
it's
only
not
imagine.
it's not going to come from me, and that's what's exciting. I
This
can't
is
wait to
true.
hear.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, this week's episode is named The Price of Gold.
Here.
It's funny
Already.
because gold. Mr. Gold.
Gold, comma,
It's a
mister.
play on words.
You see.
Well, all right. So we'll start as always with our Disney Plus summary because this is what they tried to pull you in with. Emma tries to help a pregnant woman get away from Mr. Gold. Cinderella makes a deal with Rumpelstiltskin. That
Accurate.
tells me so little about this episode.
But accurate.
It's not, none of it's incorrect, so at least they have that going for them.
And there's none of this enchanted forest fairy tale land that was bullshit. So
That comes later. But okay.
All right.
I'm ready. Maybe I have my drink. Let's dive into the synopsis and figure out what the hell actually happens. All right. So we start the episode in a courtyard, and it's the classic Cinderella setup. You know, she's being left behind as her stepsisters go to the ball, and fairy godmother is going to show up, except, bam, she explodes, which is not how the story goes. Rumpelstiltskin takes her place and grabs the wand. Cinderella is understandably a little upset, but Rumpel talks her down, and finally Cinderella asks if he can use the wand.
I would like to pause for just one moment, because I just would like us all to remember the moment where Rumpelstiltskin holds up the wand in frame and says, "Oh, you can't handle this." And it's very upsetting. And I feel a little violated.
Yeah, it's certainly not a good moment for anyone.
But I mean, it did its job. I think he was trying to make you feel uncomfortable
and violated. And you know what? He did succeed in that. Robert Carlyle is an amazing actor, and none of my criticisms ever are for him.
No.
But oh my God. Please
He understands the assignment, but at what cost?
But at any rate, he chooses to make us all uncomfortable and says, yes, I can use this, but, you know, all magic comes at the price because I'm Rumpel and that's my thing. Cinderella doesn't care, so as long as she gets out of her miserable life, and so Rumpel agrees, but she has to sign a contract agreeing to give him whatever he wants later when he demands it. She signs the contract, but contract is signed, she's transformed and goes off to the ball, and told, remember to watch the clock because we still need to have our midnight motif, I guess.
Right, even though there's no given reason.
No. Nope.
The magic runs out at midnight, so be back.
We need to make sure everyone understands this is Cinderella.
Wouldn't have gotten it any other way.
I was confused. We switch over to Storybrooke. Henry and Emma are walking, and Henry gets dropped off at the bus. Apparently, there's a school bus for such a small, tiny little town. And Sheriff Graham comes screeching up, sirens blaring, shocking and surprising Emma. This time, however, he's not actually trying to take her to jail again. He's offering her a job and thinks that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, very funny prank. Ha. Okay.
So Emma's a little weirded out by this, but he says, think about it, get back to me. Emma goes to Granny's diner, meets up with Regina. Well, more like Regina stalks her and sits down at the table and helps herself. Asks how the walk went because she knows everything and knows that she was out with Henry. But she says, I'm no longer threatened by you. Apparently, Emma's transient and never stays in one place. She's discovered this, so she's no longer threatened. She just says, yeah, you're not my issue anymore. I don't expect that to change. People need roots to grow and change, and Emma has none.
She's clearly very pressed about Emma, while she's saying, I'm not pressed about you.
Exactly. Nothing about her anything tells us that she's not threatened. But she leaves, and Emma becomes a walking infomercial and immediately forgets how to hold a mug, and she spills her hot cocoa all over her shirt.
So many easy ways. Like, even just having her trip a little bit.
They could have done something so differently for that, and it's just astounding. Trip
Right.
or run into someone or like knock the
Or
table and
kind
it
of
knocks into
very,
her.
very, like we're finished and I'm not intimidated, like pushes her chair
Sassy.
back, but because she pushes the chair back, she
It
pushes the
sloshes.
table. It slosh.
No, we had options. This is just what we went with, apparently. Emma goes over to Ruby and says, well, is there a laundry room here I can use? I need to clean up.
This is the most insane part of this episode, and I have so much to say about this entire part, and I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I need everyone to know this is insane.
I can't wait. So Emma goes to the laundry rooms. Apparently, Mary Margaret's house does not have a washing machine. At any rate, though, in the laundry room, she meets a very pregnant woman named Ashley Boyd, who we know as Cinderella from the Enchanted Forest. Ashley confides that the baby is due any day, but no one thinks that she can do this since she's only 19. Emma reminds her that the choice is hers and only she can decide what to do. And apparently the choice Ashley makes is to go commit a felony. Because we immediately fast forward to see Mr. Gold leaving his pawn shop, and Ashley is lurking in the shadows waiting for him to leave so she can break through the window and sneak into the shop.
You know what this reminds me of? Over the garden wall, where it's like, you're a talking horse, you can do what you want, and Fred just goes, I want to steal.
The exact same energy.
Yeah,
That's
pretty accurate.
So, Ashley says, I want to commit a crime, and goes to do that. But Mr. Gold returns almost immediately. But Ashley is prepared and sprays him with pepper spray, causing him to also be an infomercial and just fall to the ground, hitting everything on his way down, causing him to pass out.
He is old, to be fair. So
I've fallen.
He is an infomercial in this case.
While he's passed out, though, Ashley takes a key from his belt for this safe that she's discovered in his shop. So we now pan over to Regina, and she's explaining to her son how much she hates council meetings, urging Henry to stay inside and not to leave while she's at this meeting.
Council meeting.
Uh-huh.
Biggest air quotes ever.
Exactly. And naturally, Henry disobeys her exactly 5 seconds after she leaves. So we leave Henry disobeying his mother and find Mr. Gold showing up at Mary Margaret's house, and Emma's there, and he says, hey, Emma, I need your skills to help find someone. Mary Margaret promptly announces that she needs to go take a bath, so Gold and Emma can discuss in private.
You know how you talk to a stranger?
I'm going to go take a bath. Just say you have to go. Just say, I'll be right back.
Go upstairs.
While they have the upstairs is what gets me. Like, just go upstairs.
Even if it's just a loft, you're out of the area.
Right?
Get
You
out
have
of the
to announce
sight
it.
line.
You can just say, oh, I have to go grab something. And leave.
No. I need to announce that I'm going to go get naked now. Thank you.
That's the charming way. Oh, no. Anyway, though, Mary Margaret is taking her bath, so Gold and Emma are discussing the terms of the agreement. Gold pulls that picture of Ashley breaking into his shop, explaining that she took something valuable of his, but he doesn't want to go to the police and thus ruin Ashley's life. And he uses some very exceptional manipulation in pointing out that he doesn't want Ashley's baby to be born in a jail cell. It's fair.
He just knows that that's a pressure point.
And that's
Emma.
fair.
Exactly. And right on cue, Henry bursts through the door and watches Gold leave. He then announces to Emma that he has no idea who Mr. Gold's fairy tale character is. Which, fine. He's trying to figure it out. He has no idea. And Emma explains to him,
Just to be fair to Henry, Gold is not scaly. He's
true.
not
Also,
one scaly boy. So
to be secondly
the
fair,
illustrations would look different.
I'm pretty sure Mr. Gold is like 17 million different characters by the end of the show.
That's entirely true. There's 7 different stories featuring Rumpelstiltskin,
Correct.
and they all look like a scaly boy. And Mr.
Also
Gold is not a
correct.
scaly boy. So,
No. So Emma explains that, she needs to find Ashley, and Henry, being Henry, insists on helping. So now we're back at the Enchanted Forest. Ella and Thomas, who's the Prince Charming character, not to be confused with Charming. We have a lot of Charmings. Exactly.
there is some confusion.
We can't just have one. They're watching fireworks on their balcony as they celebrate their wedding day. We can assume the ball must have gone very well. Then they go inside to dance and enjoy the festivities. Snow and Charming are there, and Snow does a really weird dance with Ella and compliments her, saying that she's an inspiration, that anyone can change their life. And, then they go back to the group dance that they've completely ruined with their little sidestep here.
I need to address one thing, because it just bothers me every time we go to a ball in this show. Why does Snow White know all of these royal family members? I understand that they're all royalty, and therefore they would have knowledge of each other. They might have seen each other once or twice, but she is like instant besties with any princess we see. They are confidants. They are best friends. They're dancing together. We don't even know how they met.
No, the writers didn't have the budget to come up with it. I'm sure they could have. I am giving them the benefit of the doubt. If they had resources and endless time, I'm sure they could have come up with intricately weaved stories how she knew everyone, but that is not the Once Upon a Time way. So instead, she just knows everyone because Deus Ex Snow. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Because of reasons. They go back to the group dance, only, oh no, now Cinderella's partner is Rumpelstiltskin. And he's come to collect the debt that they never really discussed the terms of. He just said, you'll owe me a thing. He explains that he doesn't want anything she has yet. And in true Rumpelstiltskin fashion, he wants her firstborn. Because babies.
Why not? Okay.
So, we return from our commercial break, and Ella is packing a bag, and Thomas finds her and is like, oh, what's going on? Why are you packing? What's going on? And she's very dramatic and reveals that she's pregnant. He is absolutely overjoyed, but then she tells him about the deal that she made with Rumple without reading the terms of agreement. Thomas takes it in stride, and he's immediately on board and problem solving the situation. And Ella says, I'm going to lose everything. Thomas says, no, we're going to make another deal with Rumpelstiltskin. Because that sounds like a good plan.
Sure. You know what? We've been giving Ella a little bit of shit for not reading the terms and conditions of this contract. But please think of all of the terms and conditions you've just clicked, yes, I've read this, and then clicked
Don't call me out like this.
Because
I don't need to be attacked right now.
I could owe Apple my firstborn.
No.
Yes, at some point.
Have either of you actually read those before?
Okay.
Okay. I obsessively read them when I was 12. I was like, I have to read each one. It tells me to read each one.
You read one, you read them all. But I could have promised Apple my firstborn for all I know.
That's true. We won't know until that day.
We're going to have to find out at some point. Someone will come to collect.
We'll make them fight for it.
Look, all you have to do is promise your firstborn to as many people as possible, and then it's tied up in litigation forever.
Back in Storybrooke, Emma goes to question Ruby about Ashley's whereabouts and learns that Ashley has a stepmother and stepsisters that she doesn't talk to, and this news very much excites Henry because he's starting to put these pieces together. Ruby shares that Ashley is attempting to get her life together and that she should check with her ex-boyfriend, Sean Herman, who's Thomas's persona in Storybrooke. Emma goes to investigate, but Sean's father interrupts and tells Emma that he won't let Ashley ruin his son's life, revealing that he made a deal with Ashley that she would give up the child and that he's found someone that will compensate her well for the baby. We know that this is Mr. Gold. We're putting all of these pieces together. Ashley is essentially going to sell her child. Henry tells Emma that she can't make Ashley break a deal with Mr. Gold, but he and Emma return to the diner to go and confront Ruby. Emma calls her out for not sharing that Ashley had indeed sold the baby, and she quickly realizes that Ruby's car is gone and Ashley has taken it. After some back and forth arguing, Ruby reveals that Ashley has left for Boston about 30 minutes ago. Oh no! In the Enchanted Forest, Snow, Charming, Ella, Thomas, and Grumpy, I guess, stand in a cave that is set up to be Rumpelstiltskin's prison later. They sent a message to the Dark Ones saying the doctor had actually found 2 heartbeats and they need to make a new deal. The Blue Fairy gives them a terrifying quill that renders anyone who signs it completely immobile and temporarily powerless.
This is just adding to my theory that the Blue Fairy is actually the big villain of this show. She's terrifying.
Shady bitch.
She just has all this power. Very
And
scary.
no one is checking it. They're just like, yeah, you're fine. Back in Storybrooke, Emma does not check the back seat before making a run for Boston because
This is like the second time this has happened.
at this point, just get like one of those bells and put it on Henry's ankle. You can assume he will be anywhere you tell him not to be.
Pretty fair.
But alas, Emma learns nothing. It's the charming way. Because Henry's in the back seat. Shocker. Henry is upset because he's like, oh, no one can leave except for you and I, apparently, but no one else can leave. And sure enough, they find Ashley and her car crashed on the side of the road. And shock, Ashley's in labor. Oh no, what shall we do? They drive back to the hospital, and Ashley is rightfully afraid that Gold might try to take the baby, and Emma tells Ashley that if she wants her baby, she needs to grow up. What nice advice.
Such good advice.
Just grow up.
I just want to interject real quick.
Yeah.
When Emma finds Ashley, Ashley's like, just take me to Boston. And Emma's like, you don't have enough time. It's 4 hours away. And as the only pregnant or formerly pregnant person on this podcast,
You could have.
no,
My
she had
question is,
plenty
why
of time.
Boston? Because we're in Maine. So it's always Boston or Manhattan. Those are your 2 options in this world.
Fair. Nowhere else
Isn't
exists.
it always Boston? I feel like it's always Boston.
They are. Those are the only cities that exist, I guess. But it's very
They're the only places
like
that
it's
exist.
confusing to me because I'm like, okay, I understand not wanting to go to Storybrooke. I get
Sure.
that. I just feel like perhaps there are maybe some closer towns or cities that have a hospital.
You got Storybrooke, you have 4 hours of nothing,
And then it's
and
Boston.
then Boston.
But also Manhattan is somewhere nebulously over here. A weird place.
It's also possible. The northern East Coast is a wasteland of whatever. Look, living in Penn's Woods or whatever the heck they call it.
That'd be a no from me, dog.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely not.
No.
We've got this week we have experience on the podcast, Juicy, so we usually don't.
Only one of the
You're the Northeastern correspondent.
See, so we're now back at the Enchanted Forest. Back in the Enchanted Forest, Ella meets up with Rumpelstiltskin, and she says she wants to make a new deal for both babies because the kingdom is struggling and they need the help. If Rumpelstiltskin agrees to make the land fertile, she'll give him both babies.
She does have a weird line in that. I forgot to put it in the summary, but she does straight up say, "I can make more babies. I can't make the land fertile." And that just
I don't like.
she's not wrong. She's not wrong.
I personally like that she just threw her
He's
husband
not
under the bus. Like,
wrong.
yeah, he's struggling. He's not good at it. He's a loser. I need help.
That's fair. Very fair. She's just like, I am 8 months pregnant with supposedly
She's
twins.
pregnant.
It's not,
that
but like
happens.
supposedly it's twins.
She's actually not pregnant at all. It's just a basketball. It'll be quite the surprise. Really, the prince gets dunked on.
Bum.
I'm so upset. So at any rate, he goes through his spiel. magic comes with a price, and if she tricks him, she'll owe him even more debt, basically. But he signs and ends up immobilized, and he tells her no one breaks a deal with him and that he will have that baby. Very ominous. Very weird. We never really get an explanation about why he wants all of these babies.
Very weird. Again, I say to you, baby room. He's just making a baby room. A room where he keeps his babies.
That's a very upsetting sentence. None of it's good.
Yeah. And you got to hear it together. I had to hear it in my mind alone.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You poor thing.
I still like the bean theory. All babies turn into magic beans.
Bean babies.
It's
not beanie babies.
yeah.
Bean babies.
They're just a little bean.
There it is. Back in Storybrooke, Emma and Henry wait for news of Ashley at the hospital. Henry says Emma's different. She's the only one that can leave, and because she's the savior and she can do what she wants. Even though the show literally starts with Henry leaving Storybrooke, so clearly it's not just Emma that can leave. It's at least two people. So it's a charming way.
It at least runs in the blood.
How many times can I say that today?
Listen, we found a new phrase. It does explain a lot about this family.
It does.
So.
The doctor comes out and says Ashley's fine and she has a healthy baby girl, not a basketball, which is shocking to us all. Of course, Gold shows up and thanks Emma for finding his baby. Another upsetting sentence.
Baby room.
No.
Bean baby room.
Back in the Enchanted Forest, Ella feels sick after her encounter with Rumple. So Thomas goes to get her water from the well. He hears something and kind of looks around, and then suddenly he's gone. We will never find out what happened. This is never explained to us. Ella goes to find him at the well and only finds his cape. They will never go back to this and let us know, oh, here's where he is. But this is baffling to me because most people, their cursed lives are
I'm okay with it.
a worse scenario for them. You know, they're worse off. They don't have their happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ashley is the one exception where perhaps her Storybrooke life is better.
Now, so I was thinking about this.
Okay, let's hear it.
And perhaps it would, I think the idea we're meant to get is that it's worse as it stands. She's got the deal with Gold. She's giving up her baby. She's not going to see her boyfriend again. She's just losing everything, which was essentially what she was afraid of happening when she told Thomas about the deal. But Emma steps in and breaks that contract. And that's why she gets Thomas back.
Wow, what a savior.
He saves.
Terrible.
Oh, Danelle and I on it.
So I think this is our very first instance of Emma savioring happening to other people, not just the town clock starting. This is the first chance we see
doing a thing
that Emma actually stepping in makes a difference. It breaks up the misery that was supposed to be occurring. Not that I understand that, but because I don't understand if we're on a time loop or if we're not on a time loop.
I want to know about this show. Is it or is it not like a Groundhog's Day situation where a very finite amount of time is being recirculated? Because the whole clock motif would have me believe, oh no, time was frozen.
Right, as would the episode where Regina keeps reliving the same day.
Wait, but then how does Henry fit into that?
My question, what was, Regina had no plan.
We
She was
don't
like, okay,
understand.
I'm in a town that doesn't age. Allow me to go get this baby that will age and hope that he never notices that his classmates are not getting older with him.
Right, he just moves to the next class, but the classmates change every year because they're the same kids.
She has to pull new NPCs and throw them in.
It's a WandaVision situation. It actually takes a lot of her mental energy, and that's why she's so bad about dealing with them.
I'll accept that. I think that's fair. Ella is again at the well. She can't find Thomas anywhere. She runs after Rumple, who's locked up in the cage now. And he reminds her that all magic comes with a price and she just paid it. She won't find her husband until the original debt is paid. We're now back at the hospital, and Emma wants to know why Gold called the baby merchandise. It's weird. I have a lot of questions.
As would I.
He says if anybody would understand why someone would give up a baby, it should be her. Emma refuses to give up the baby, and Rumple threatens to call the police on Ashley so the baby would end up in the system. Again, really playing to what he knows about Emma.
Also, they would check with the dad first.
You would think.
Like, before they put the baby in the system, they would go to the dad first.
No, we don't do that in Storybrooke.
Unless he's not on the birth certificate.
Ooh.
Well, yeah, but again, we're now in a post Emma world, which means I would argue Ashley's probably putting that boy on the birth certificate.
Fair.
Because it's Emma. Emma's here now. Emma's gonna make sure that baby has a dad officially. So they'd go. He can't threaten that they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like that they just go right to the system because there is a dad that he know is present and being bullied into not being in the life.
Exactly. And Emma picks up on probably everything you just said, so she won't be bluffed. But I'm not going to call this. Maybe I do need to give her credit for knowing he's lying and using her superpower, but I don't know. The jury's still out on if that's a success for her superpower or not. Don't like giving her credit where it's due. But she calls on him in the contract and said it wouldn't hold up in court when she testified against him. Instead, she asks him to tear up the old contract, and Gold says that he will if she owes him a favor instead. That's it. Again, we're not really big on the terms here. It's just, you'll owe me a favor whenever I say so. And Emma says, fair enough, let's go. So we know that this is important, and you're going to want to write it down.
No.
That will come up later.
I'm writing it down right now.
Terrible. I will say that's one of the few instances where we do see consistencies in the show that will come up later. No. Which is nice. It's nice when that happens.
True.
So Emma goes to check on Ashley, and the baby's name is Alexandra, and everybody's happy. But it's almost 5 p.m., and Henry has to get home because, Regina's meeting ends at 5 p.m.
Oh, no. Listen, I am impressed at her both her punctuality and her knowledge of how long this is going to take.
She knew exactly what she wanted and how many times she wanted it. She had this figured out. It did just occur to me that all of this is happening in Storybrooke in a single day. That is the fastest labor.
Correct.
This starts at what time would you say Regina leaves? Because there's the hot cocoa incident, but she goes home and changes into a new dress, I guess.
That is true.
At best, we're talking noon.
But there is a night sequence.
Okay.
Is there?
Because Ashley robs Gold at night.
Okay, you're right. I feel a little better now.
But no, don't feel better because there's not a night sequence between Regina giving Henry the talk about not leaving the house.
You're right.
And Ashley giving birth. So, but between the time Regina leaves that house and the time she gets home, there is a baby.
Yikes. This is either the world's longest dick appointment or the fastest labor, and I'm not sure which.
For Regina's sake, I hope it's the former.
Dear God, please. So, Emma drives Henry home so he can beat his mother back to the house and makes a cryptic little hint that she's not going anywhere. And then Henry rushes inside, leaving a Converse on the stair. Just one shoe.
It's funny. Cinderella motif. Is this the Cinderella episode?
No.
Oh.
What? I don't think so. I think I missed that.
The resident Ella-ologist has waited.
It's not.
I believe it.
More on that later.
So Henry barely makes it up to his room, and then Regina runs in scolding him about leaving his shoe on the staircase. And she has no idea that he was gone, and trusts that he was in his bed the entire time. Back at the hospital, Sean shows up with teeny tiny slippers for Alexandra, and they're a
Yay.
cute, happy family now.
Hooray.
Good on them. Emma calls Graham, and, now that she wants to put roots down, because as Regina should know by now, if she ever suggests Emma not to do something, Emma will do it. So she said, "Oh, you don't have roots," and Emma said, "Watch me.
Look at my roots. I'm getting some roots. I'm even going to buy the book Roots, and I'm going to watch the whole miniseries that aired on television like 70 years ago.
Oh,
It wasn't
no.
70 years ago, but
That's basically what she does now. So she calls and says, "Hey, can I have the job?" And Graham isn't worried about Regina being upset and says, "Yeah, no, this is fine." But meanwhile, Regina is shown leaving his place because that was her
so
council meeting.
now here's my thing. It's implied to be Graham's place. That is some very pink floral wallpaper. Which
I was gonna ask, is it Graham's place or is it Granny's?
that's my question. But
She's
there's like
don't forget your
there's
socks.
there's
And it's like,
Poor Granny.
if he's home, he can just get another pair.
true.
Unless he only has one pair, and then we have way more issues.
Oh, that's true.
Then we have far more issues than pink wallpaper. No, that was my question too. Like my initial thought was, oh, it's his place. That's very pink wallpaper. Is it Granny's? Because that does feel like the bedroom that Emma stayed in for a hot second.
Is it?
Sure.
Before Regina kicked
I
her
mean,
out.
you guys would know better, but it reminded me more of Archie's office, just redressed. But I don't remember.
It's quite possible.
I need to go
They
back
did
and look at
have
them.
a set for the pilot where Emma is staying at Granny's bed and breakfast, or maybe it might have been the second episode. But so it could just be that set redressed, which also could have been Archie's office redressed. To be perfectly honest,
Look,
because
they only have so much budget,
you're not going to build
and
that.
they really need to use it on all of their background green screen effects.
And for as much of a deal as they make of Granny's bed and breakfast, we do not spend a lot of time at the bed part of bed and breakfast. We hang out at Granny's diner a whole lot.
It wasn't
they
in
make a big
budget.
fuss about Granny's bed and beginning, and then we only see maybe 2 rooms.
Are they 2 separate places?
And there are 2 separate businesses, and we know this because of a joke commercial that was on the bonus extra like DVD features, and where they did infomercials or like commercials for various things around Storybrooke, and Ruby was not good at commercials, but it was very funny.
Yeah.
But it's Granny's bed and breakfast and Granny's diner. Come stay at Granny's bed and breakfast and eat at our diner. So they're 2 separate businesses.
Because I was very when we get to it, but I was sure that the laundry room was a part of the bed and breakfast. So
no, I don't. The question is, it is quite possible that they are connected. My question is does the breakfast is it like just a comp at Granny's diner? I don't know. But I mean, you are correct. When we're going to get to that laundry room scene because I have so much to say.
I was going to say, I think time to kind of dive into some of the things that made us big mad, and we're going to contain ourselves this week because there's too much Ella to unpack that we really want Keiliy to dive into. So I have one thing. I think your thing comes first. I want you to please dive into this laundry room situation immediately.
Okay, so number 1, as Keiliy brought up, now it is possible that this is part of the bed and breakfast side of this business, but why the hell are you looking at a waitress
and saying, do you have a washing machine I can use? What insane person does that? Imagine you're out to dinner, you're at a restaurant, you're having a nice time, you're eating, you're talking, whatever. You spill your glass of wine. It goes down the front of your shirt. Oh no! Maybe you say, oh my gosh, where's the restroom so I can like blot out the wine? But do you look at the waiter and go, where do you wash your clothes? Where do you wash your clothes?
Well, and my favorite is Storybrooke, we have been told, is not very large. It grows and
Correct.
apparently has a lot more that we don't unpack. But at this point, they're saying, oh, it's this quaint little tiny town.
Right.
Would, like, Mary Margaret walks to this diner every day. Arguably, it would take Emma 5 to 10 minutes just to go home and change.
Right. Or at the very least, she could walk home, look Mary Margaret in the eye, and be like, hey, where's the laundromat? Why are you bothering a poor waitress to wash your clothes?
And to that point, she could have just said, hey, Ruby, where's the nearest laundromat? And Ruby could have said, oh, the the B&B side has one. Not just, like,
Again,
changed a few words.
there's no logic. Like,
No. Only chaos.
That's an insane question to ask. That's an insane question to look at a waitress and be like, do you, at this restaurant, have a washing machine I can use? No, we don't. Even if we are kind enough to launder uniforms for the staff, which we are not, but even if we are, you can't use it as a customer.
Correct.
So that's my first issue.
Okay.
Okay. We've covered that. That's an insane question.
It is.
Okay. Then, Ruby, like the angel she is go use this laundry station. We have one. I don't know why. That's an insane thing to say, but okay. She's very nice. She's much nicer than I am. Emma walks back, runs into Ashley, who's dyed the sheets pink and is crying about it. And that's fine. She is 9 months pregnant with a basketball. You're very emotional anyway, and then I imagine giving birth to a basketball is even worse. Okay, they're having this conversation. Emma is being Emma about it. It's not that her advice is bad, but Emma has this very bad tendency to only give advice from her perspective, I think. Like, she doesn't...
The situation was always worse.
Her situation is always worse. She is a one-upper, which is so annoying.
Yeah.
But she also doesn't have the ability to, like, step outside of what she thinks and be like, okay, this is how I would react in this situation, but maybe there is some reason. She happens in this situation with Ashley to have read Ashley correctly, and Ashley really didn't want to give up her baby and whatever. But imagine that this was a girl who was just really struggling with her baby, but knew the right thing to do. And this girl got the advice, don't let anyone tell you what to do. You keep that baby. It's not helpful to her.
No.
That's not calming. That's not anything. That's just aggressive. And it's another person telling you what to do with your baby.
That's actually very common when you're pregnant. So like it's totally it's totally unsurprising for Emma to just be like, hey, this is what worked with me and you should do it, because that's all you hear and you're just by the end of it like burnt out on advice.
Well, yeah. And so it's like, and it'd be one thing if it was this episode. This is what Emma does a lot, is she gives advice, and she reminds me very much of a friend of ours who cares very, very deeply. But when she cares, she's very angry at you.
Yes.
And it's sometimes very hard to like parse out, because you're like, are you mad at me?
What is this?
She gives off that vibe a lot. In the middle of this rant, she does something that it's so upsetting to me.
You look perturbed.
I am staring off into the middle distance because I keep seeing it in my brain.
I'm so sorry.
She reaches up to the like to the wire. Clothes are hanging. And she pulls down a shirt. Just a shirt. It's not hers. It's a shirt. And puts it on her body. And then she walks out with it. Whose clothes were those?
And she wears it for
for a while.
Yeah. It's
not just that she's covering up to have this conversation, which would be weird enough already. That's not your clothing. But she takes it. She takes it back to Mary Margaret. Someone is going to go get their laundry and be mad at Ashley because Ashley was doing the laundry and be like, where is my shirt? Why is it gone?
Whoopsies.
And she's going to have to look at this person and be like, I'm sorry, I was crying and having a bad time. And this woman took it.
And I let her.
She was talking at me and she took it.
And I didn't know what to do, so I let her.
I let her.
So I'm gonna come back around to what I was saying earlier, where I thought it was the laundromat at the bed and breakfast, because Ashley is a maid, and why does
why is she doing?
Well, I mean,
the bed.
I feel like she would at a bed and breakfast if you're the maid, but if it was
she could do
if it was at the restaurant. Restaurants don't have maids; they have waitresses.
No.
Or busboys.
Right. Well, and it's I'm okay with the explanation that the two businesses are run from the same building and therefore there is access to this laundry because the bed and breakfast uses it, and that's why Ashley's there, is because she's washing sheets. And but there's no one else in the room. So those are and they're not fancy high-tech machines. So you'd be hanging around, around the machine just to make sure that nobody's moving things, nobody's taking them out. Mm-hmm. They're just she's clearly doing the laundry for this bed and breakfast, if that's the explanation we're going
right.
with. She takes your laundry bag, she takes your sheets, and that's fine. That could be part of her duties, especially in a small town and a small bed and breakfast. Right. But again, where does the shirt come from? Where did it
she's a thief.
We knew this sort of about her. We will know this more about her, but yeah. And it's not addressed.
No. It's hers now.
It's just hers, and this is a perfectly normal thing.
Obviously.
Okay. All right. That's my rant.
I think all of that is fair. Mine is perhaps less upsetting, but it bothered me in the moment because it was not clear. So we have Ella going to make another deal with Rumple, and they're in a cell. We are staring at a cell.
Right. The cell we've seen before.
With a different gate though, which is the weird distinction, because they change it to be really impractical so we can climb through it, which is a poor choice.
For dramatic effect.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's the charmings. Our cells need dramatic effect.
The charming way.
It's the charming way.
So we're in a cell and they're like, okay, we're gonna make a deal with Rumple. Here's what you gotta do. And all of a sudden we move and we're outside. And it took me a good 5 minutes to realize, oh no, they were just showing where they're going to put Rumple after she traps him.
Yeah, it's weird.
The transition was just way off, and I was so confused. Were we in Rumple's mind? Was it a mind prison? Was it enchanted to look like the outside? We were just trapped in a cell. I had no idea what was going on. Granted, some of that's probably me and not the showrunners, but also it's the showrunner. It's the show.
Well, I will say it's weird to be put in a place that you recognize.
Yeah.
And because you kind of just expect them to approach that cell, and then, I don't know, Rumple spider climbs down from the ceiling.
As we've seen him do in the past.
As one does. And stick his face through the bars, and it also, that's unsettling. Mm-hmm. But the other part is, I don't think they did a good job of really explaining that they're, showing them, hey, we got this ready. Like they kind of touch on it, but not really. So it really is just another insane to be like, come look at our cell. This is what we've built to house your problem. Would you like to make an alliance?
Exactly. Well, and I think the hard thing with this show is the timeline is real crunchy. They don't approach this in a linear fashion. So you have to sit there and remember, okay, this is before Snow is pregnant, so it's before she makes a deal with Rumple, so it's before he was captured, so we're not going to be greeting him in a jail cell.
Right, we did have to do a little timeline math just to get to that conclusion.
Right? So yeah, it just baffles me that the show chooses these cut scenes that really don't make linear sense. It doesn't make it easy to know what's going on, and it kind of just expects you to figure it out and realize, oh, this is the before times.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I say we had to do some timeline math on that, it was, okay, the curse is not happened.
No.
So, therefore, Snow is not pregnant because we know that the curse being cast coincides with the day she gives birth. So, it's sometime before that.
Right.
We know that Rumple and Snow Rumple and the Charmings talked because Snow was weird about the baby name. So that's the first time we saw him in the cell.
Exactly.
In the timeline. So like there is several leaps of logic that you have to just to get to, oh, we haven't caught Rumple yet.
It's too much for me. It's too much. So it frustrated me. But honestly, I'll be honest, the things that made me really mad are things that I hope Keiliy can shed a lot of light on, because this episode is all about Ella, but also has a lot of problems. So what were your observations as our resident Ella-ologist?
Where to start?
That's a good question.
Here's my question for you. Did
Okay.
you find this to broad strokes? Is this a successful portrayal of Ella? Let's start with Fairy Tale.
Ooh.
Is Fairy Tale Land a successful portrayal of Ella? Even if it's subverted a little bit with the godmother part of it.
Yes.
Okay.
It pains me to say
You
that.
say you don't look pleased with this answer.
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from 100%. It's not great, but it does hit the marks that we expect from an Ella.
We don't have enough information is really the problem, where we get a lot of the lead up. We don't know what happens at the ball.
Right.
We don't know does she even lose her glass slipper? We're making some assumptions. Is that how he finds her?
It's very true.
It's very they just gloss over a lot of important details to focus, and I understand that from what they were trying to do, but yeah, it broadly, yes, the fairy tale version lines up with.
Now, what about Storybrooke?
Oh,
I mean, not at all. Like,
no hesitation.
would it be a really good alternate universe adaptation? Sure, but again, there's no way, we don't know why she left her stepmother and stepsisters. Is it because she met Sean, or there's not enough information, but as it is and as we're understanding it, it is not a Cinderella story.
Fair enough.
Well, thank you. All right.
I feel enlightened.
Now into the nitty gritty. Where would you like to start?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think I want to talk about the style of the fairy tale world.
Sure.
And obviously there's an overall stylistic choice of the enchanted forest or whatever. But what's very interesting about this Cinderella is how many details there are that they've completely taken from other Cinderella versions. Like, okay, yes, eternally there will always be a glass slipper, there will always be a clock, there will always be,
Right.
yada yada yada.
We didn't even explain the clock in this one.
No.
We just said there is one.
There is one. There you go. You know it exists. But there's different style choices that they just kind of were like, yeah, this was a popular Cinderella retelling. There was a lot of borrowing from the Brandy's Cinderella version for the Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Yeah.
Specifically in the opening walk for the step family.
Yes.
The stepmother is clearly wearing like the Bernadette Peters tight dress where she has to really shuffle stuff. And they're just
I love a Bernadette Peters.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And then we zoom out on the house.
Mm-hmm.
And the house is like this mixture of I would say a mixture of Brandy's Cinderella and I'm gonna say I think it's pretty close to. It reminded me of like Leslie Ann Warren.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're not thinking Julie, you're thinking Leslie Ann.
Oh no, yeah, it's Leslie Ann Warren's Cinderella,
Yeah.
and it's sort of like a mishmash of those two. And then, I mean, Cinderella's rags are basically just a gray palette of her Disney animated version. And it's cute. I thought those were interesting choices, and I think it's trying to make you instantly familiar with
Right.
her world, and those are all, I think, other than Leslie Ann Warren's, which I don't think was a very popular one, but Brandy's and obviously Disney's animated one are the hits.
Right. And you need it in this story to like instantly recognize that we're Cinderella, because immediately we're subverting it.
Yeah.
So we need to know
We need to
immediately
ground you.
this is Cinderella.
Yes.
And I have more on this.
Oh yeah.
So
Go for it.
this fairy godmother that we get is I think it's very interesting only because like once upon a time it was just like, oh, here the fairies are really small. They're Tinkerbell sized. And then all of a sudden this fairy turns into a whole ass adult. Sorry for the cursing.
Feel free.
We encourage it.
A whole adult, and she's big. There's two things to note here.
Mm-hmm.
One is she's a black woman,
Mm-hmm.
and two, her dress is gold.
Whitney Houston.
Exactly. And it takes all of the lines from Whitney Houston's and matches it with like an 1860s Victorian era gown.
Right.
That's just the hyper focus there.
Honestly, I didn't even clock it until you said Brandy Cinderella talking about just the opening. I was like, oh my God, it was Whitney Houston.
Yeah, it's definitely a nod to Whitney Houston. But then we go back to what everyone would think would be the animated version. But again, as soon as she transforms into Cinderella, she is wearing a similar dress to Brandy. The only difference is actually the straps, which are hydrangeas, which I love. They are on the shoulder instead of off. So both the Disney animated and Brandy have off the shoulder. So I thought that was an interesting choice because it changes the sightline of the dress. So you do recognize it because it's blue. So it looks like what they now have as Cinderella.
Right. We all know this not to be true. We've been friends with you long enough to recognize that this is wrong.
The animated dress is silver.
And
silver dress, strawberry blonde hair. The only reason it's blue is because of the lighting at night when they're in the garden.
It does drive me nuts that, I'm okay-ish. I get the coloring of the blonde hair. I do kind of get that with the coloring that we are now getting in DVDs that are released.
Yeah.
It's still a silver dress.
It's still silver.
It's still very clearly a silver dress. I have a poster of Cinderella on my wall over there. It is silver dress. Even just in poster form. Like,
yeah.
It's very clearly, and if it's not silver, it is the iciest, lightest blue that has ever existed, which
Right.
is just silver.
Make it blue.
But we
No.
associate
Make it
now
silver.
as a culture blue with Cinderella. So if a Cinderella, it's the same thing with
Yeah.
Alice and Alice in Wonderland.
True.
But if she's not wearing blue, is she really a Cinderella? Which grinds my gears.
I just feel like there would be so many better wardrobe choices if it was silver. Because if you were in, like, you know, any historical times, like silver gowns would be gorgeous. And if you're in modern times, put a sequin on it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it would also be really clever with gold because silver
That's
and gold, and that's just it would be cute. But it's blue, and we don't
It's
see it for very long. But it's
fine.
definitely
It's very blue. I have my own issues with the silver dress now. So you've influenced me. It's terrible.
I didn't after that. I really didn't pay attention enough. I think to her wedding dress.
It
So
wasn't good.
it was just
It was blah.
yeah. It was so like whatever.
It
It was
certainly
like okay, let's
it wasn't the animated dress.
No.
and then when she's in her nightgown packing to run away, she's the blue fairy, and that's the animated blue fairy. And
She is
it's
the blue
so
fairy from Pinocchio. Her
I don't
hair is
know
the same.
yeah.
Her gown is the same. It even has like the little like panels like
What an insane choice.
it drives me nuts.
I just look.
I didn't know I had so many feelings about the way that Ella is dressed. And then Keiliy came on the podcast, and I have so many things that I need to discuss.
I think that's fair.
She brings out something in me.
And then honestly, I really didn't pay attention when they were doing their Rumpelstiltskin thing. I know she had a cloak. That's fine. I don't really care about that. At that point, she's pregnant, so whatever.
She's got her basketball.
It's post the Cinderella story.
That's fair.
Yeah, that basketball really pisses me off. That costuming choice.
I don't know. Listen, I don't think it's fair to call it a basketball. It's clearly more of a beach ball.
It's so
so big and round.
And I'm just like, I've seen same like 2011, same year, better maternity baby bumps that they use in shows.
Yeah.
And I'm just this is clearly like, oh shit, she's supposed to be pregnant. We may need to make it look pregnant. And I'm like, well, you didn't add any of the other padding that you're supposed to
No.
have when you're pregnant.
Nope, just the
It
belly.
was they
Just the
forgot.
belly. We go curves for boobs, then in, and then there's a giant belly.
Then there's a beach ball.
Yeah, maybe like they started filming and realized they did not have the props they needed, so they're like, "Oh shit, hold this basketball."
If for her, I want to say modern,
Mhm.
I don't know, Storybrooke, whatever, those costumes, it was really just like the maid outfit. And then I think she had like a sundress when she was escaping with a giant cardigan. And it was just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing that exciting, nothing special.
No. Anything to add on costumes?
I would like to revisit the fact that we've talked about it a little bit, but just we've seemed to have decided that curls equals like ringlets equal fairy tale.
Sure.
We're in the enchanted forest, whatever it is. And yet costuming continues, or hair continues to not know what to do when everybody's hair is in ringlets.
Pile it on top.
Because anytime we get ringlets, they're piled in just like a plop on their head, which Cinderella does not have a plop on her head.
She does now.
It's like
Doesn't have ringlets either.
no, she
I think
doesn't. She has bangs.
Brandy's the only one who gets that, and that and that's what it is.
Right.
There it is.
Yeah, but it's very like she very much either has a bun or a French twist or something going on with straight hair most of the time. And I don't care if you want to do like curly ringlets around the face.
We like poodles here.
Just use her Parks wig.
The only person who escapes this fate is Regina, and that's because they've decided that straight hair equals evil.
Naturally.
Of course. That is why my hair is so straight. It's full of evil.
As they look at the three of us.
It's full of evil. But
Look, I don't like ringlets unless they're properly historically done.
that's fair. They're
Because
very clearly heat curled ringlets. They are crisp and sharp and crunchy because there's hairspray in them.
so much
I
hairspray.
don't like that. I don't like it.
No, it's rough. It's rough, and I don't understand what certain people on this cast did to hair to make hair hate them so much.
I need to know.
But something happened there.
It's really easy to piss off hair and makeup,
yeah.
and if you do, you're a monster. Like, because you should be the nicest to them because they're up so early to deal with you.
Oh yeah.
Right. And they're they're in charge of making it look good. Like, if nothing else, your vanity should say, hey, I should be nice to these people.
We all know that everyone in the industry is not there because they can act.
Correct.
It's there because of the face.
Correct.
Anyhow, that's my one little thing.
Everyone needs to just channel Cinderella. Not from this.
No, don't channel
More
whatever
on
this
that later.
is.
And just be kind.
Have courage and be kind.
See Ella.
That's all we need.
We love that.
We could go into the Cinderella personality next, since I said we'll get to that later. We'll get to it now.
Let's do it.
The Ella of it all.
Heh.
I'm a firm follower of Peralt's version, which is the one that the Disney animated version uses and a lot of versions use. There's a lot of Grimm references actually in this episode, which I thought was fun. But yeah, they're kind of not hidden, but didn't really matter. But anyways, so in Peralt's version of Cinderella, there's a lot of questions about what the moral actually is. But no matter what, at the end, her thing is that she forgives her stepfamily. Not saying that you need to forgive your abusers, but it showed her personality of being this girl who has, through everything, just continuously persevered, was always kind, never stepped out of line, even though she should have. And in the end, she gets everything that she wants and doesn't know that she wants. And it's just her kindness that is supposed to be that stepping point, which the animated version of Cinderella did. The Brandy's Cinderella, Julie Andrews' Cinderella, Leslie Ann Warren's Cinderella, all of these are based on that one tale and speak to her kindness. And of course, after 2011, the 2015 version of Cinderella hit that home with the now famous "Have courage and be kind."
A great quote.
And
my favorite.
a great quote. And this Ella appears to be based on that version because that's Disney's version. The Grimm version is incredibly different, with a lot of chopping off toes and heels and
toes.
Yeah.
So much foot mutilation present in the Grimm's version.
Mm-hmm. And I think and the birds peck out the stepfamily. Eyes, yeah. Which is a common running theme in Grimm fairy tales, for the record. That's or just the blindness.
They really like to see people punished, especially with blindness.
Beautiful.
So this version is very clearly not the Grimm version. it really could have been knowing Rumpelstiltskin, but they didn't really go in that direction.
Would have
So
been interesting.
so her kindness should have been a thing, and it really wasn't. Um,
No.
there was never a moment of, like, she really deserved. I mean, not to say that if you're not kind, you don't deserve things, but, like, the point of it is you root for this underdog who, no matter what, is always herself. And this Cinderella, it breaks and enters in Storybrooke, hits a guy, I think. I don't remember. He fell. Oh, she pepper sprays him until he falls over,
She pepper sprayed
which is
them.
just, oh my God. Um, not good, not a good look. And I get that this is the Storybrooke version and it's all bad or whatever.
Messy.
Yeah.
It's so
But
messy.
in her version, like she starts out so um she starts out so good where like she's like, "Oh my God, you killed her." Like, and then she's very quickly like, "But you can still give me what I want."
Right. Like, you actually could also give me this. So,
Right. So it's just not she's just not a Cinderella in that universe
Yeah.
to me
no, I would
for those
agree.
reasons.
I would agree. And I think Once Upon a Time in general, especially with their heroes, has an issue with this. I think with the villains, they're much better about kind of hewing closely to what the story has said because they're villains. They're supposed to be bad. But when you put in, you know, like Cinderella or Snow White, who are characters that
Mhm.
at their core are just good.
They-
They're good people and they do good things and they do the right thing because the right thing to do.
Right.
I don't think the story, like the writers, ever really got how to create drama without
Yeah.
making your heroes do bad things.
Definitely.
Because, like, Snow White should also be
Yeah.
unambiguously morally good. She
That's why the huntsman doesn't
right.
kill her,
It's
is it's just like, "How can I kill this
how
innocent thing?"
kind she is.
So, I definitely agree that Once has, the hero
Mhm.
problem of, we don't know how to do drama without people doing bad things. I'm an expert at
Boy.
delivering drama, to where people's morals aren't compromised.
She has made me cry with the things that she has written. Full disclosure.
Yeah, I'm proud of that.
I know you are. I know you are.
But yeah, I think compromising on a very key, uh, or completely changing a key moral of that, because she's like, I think about where she's tricking Rumpelstiltskin, and it could have gone so differently because I mean, he kind of knew what was about to happen and he did it
Oh, he was
anyways.
on.
And so, like, if she's like about to go through with this, but then she's like,
Yeah.
she can't, like, she can't, it would just change her. And he's just like, no, I'll do it. And then he does it because
Mhm.
this is what he wants. This is
Right.
where he needs to get to for his character. Not that we know that yet, but I like, that is such a different way to do it.
Mhm. No, I think it's true. I
I don't
think
know. Don't that's her key thing. That's, other than the glass slippers, the clock, the pumpkin carriage, whatever.
eh,
It's the
it's not like they give
kindness.
us any of that really in this episode either. They mention a clock and there's a wand.
They show her glass slippers. They make a point
That's
of
true.
it.
Rumpelstiltskin is nothing if not a dramatic individual. He
Very
likes his
true.
dramas.
He sure does. He sure does. He
He designed a
will.
very nice dress. Good for him.
Listen, I will say Rumpelstiltskin was very nice to Ella.
He could have made it, like, much like hair and makeup. Don't piss off Rumple, because he can also
He
make
can
you
put
look
you.
not great.
You know what? That was the hair. That was the hair decision.
Mm.
Oh, Rumple hates her.
I think in the beginning he was a fine fairy godmother, other than like the killing, which I still kind of don't believe that she just poofed away. Whatever.
No, and Ella's okay. That's the weird thing. Ella's like, huh.
You murdered her. There's no question.
You murdered her.
You
But
Hey,
also, can I still have what I want?
can
But-
you use her
Oh.
wand anyway?
here, can I handle this?
I have neglected to mention a thing that got me so riled up when I was watching by myself,
Oh boy, I'm
where
ready.
her fairy godmother says "your prince" to her.
Oh
She says you'll
no.
get everything you want, your the ball, your prince, and I was just like, did they know each other? Are we going on that? And it's never brought up, obviously, but
No,
I'm
of
just
course
like,
not.
that's another thing is she doesn't go
Looking for a prince. That's not
looking
what
for
her.
yeah, she
No.
wants a night off, a night to be someone else and not in her circumstances. And look, that's totally valid. And I think that all of us want that at some
I
point or
would like that,
another
thank
in
you.
Please.
our lives. But, and does she find a prince at the ball? Yeah. Does she fall in love with him? Sure. But like,
It's never
It-
her prince.
it's not like she goes and she's like, I'm gonna marry this dude.
It
No.
isn't like she heard about the ball and was like, oh, he's gonna look for a wife. I would like for that to be me, thank you. This is what I would like. That was just inconsequential. It was, oh, there's a ball and there's some other details too. Great for that. Anyway, how do I get there?
Right. So that got me riled up. But
That's
yeah, I don't think I think the terms and conditions of Rumple's deal was the worst part of that. But I think he was incredibly nice. He could have sent her in something completely gaudy. And
Yeah.
like, you know, he knows taste, I guess. Like it wasn't that bad. I'm
Classy guy.
still mad at Snow White's dress during their wedding, but
I
Oof.
don't get me started on that hair. Don't get me
There's
started.
not enough time in the world to
No.
discuss the hair.
And that dress.
We will never know.
The 2011 of it all.
so I don't have much to say about her. I mean, her modern aspect of this, the storybook aspect, is just like it's just not.
It's a
the
mess.
one really cute thing was that her name was Ashley. I love dorky stuff like that where it's like she's not Ella, but she's somehow related to Ash. There's also Nicole for Cole. Um, there's a ton of like books and stuff that it's like it's not a Cinderella tale, wink, and she's just it's not her name's not Ella. It's something totally
I'm
different. And
upset.
I love it because people get so creative. Ashley's not too creative. There's a lot of
No.
Ashleys. But it's just a cute detail. And then of course there's the grim detail of the twins. The twin plot
Mm.
is just a nod to Grimm. Cinderella, I think in her Grimm tale didn't go on to have twins, but I can't remember. I know everyone else does. If you're in a Grimm
Yeah.
fairy tale, you're having twins. I don't make
Hansel certainly
rules.
does.
Woof.
Hansel, Sleeping Beauty.
Yes.
Mhm.
I think Snow White. I don't remember.
I don't
I wouldn't
remember
be
Snow's
surprised.
There's a
Grimm's
lot of
tales.
questionable stuff in Grimm's tales, and that's why we just look the other way.
There's a lot of
I'm very so I know very little about season 7, and this is
Mm.
maybe a little bit
Oh,
of a
you
movement.
will be coming back.
Oh yes, I'm totally certain. I'm
I
very
think all of season 7, because there's no escaping the Ella of it all in season 7.
No, I don't think there's a single
You're gonna be a
episode.
permanent guest star, and I apologize.
I'm here for it. I think I'm very interested to see how they treat that Cinderella and
There's
yeah.
There's a lot.
There's certainly more of our familiar touch points, I think, in that next
Mm-hmm.
in our next Cinderella iteration because we really do follow the story.
The main character.
She is the main character. We do
essentially
follow through the ball. We spend a lot of time with stepsisters, with stepmother.
a lot. Oh, well, you have to wait like 6 seasons. We have a lot to say about that plot.
It's a lot, but
we'll get there, and I'll
You'll come back.
and
No, it's going to be such a fun experiment. We're going to be just like, what is happening? Who are these people? And we're going to be like, it doesn't matter.
It's watching the first Fast and the Furious movie and the 9th Fast and the Furious movie, and that's it. And you're just like, I don't know how we got here, but we're sure here.
No, and I will say that we're being nice to you by inviting you back for 7, because 7's a soft reset. So
is that nice though?
Oh no, we're
it's cruel because
deeply cruel for inviting you back for 7, but also Ella's the central character.
It's true.
Sort of, kind of.
We'll figure out if she's Cinderella.
We will.
We sure will.
So, ranking the entire episode, would you call this a Cinderella story?
No, not at all. Does it have the Cinderella elements? Is it borrowing, things? Yes. On a whim, could you go, yeah, I guess, sure, if you squint real hard. There's just not enough of anything. So it's
Fair.
more like, here's a glimpse in what happened after. But I would not take any of it as any sort of Cinderella canon. And I will say, she has 2 different characters playing the fairy godmother role, and I think Emma does a better job of it than
I didn't even think of that.
Only for the fact that she actually tries to help, no strings attached. Like, she might come off really strong, but she's willing to, in order to get this girl out of a contract, sacrifice herself, and that's a very good Cinderella moment, and I think a very good fairy godmother.
She's an agent of change for Ella, for sure.
Right.
Like,
wow. Yeah.
I may not agree with her methods, but she is an agent for change and for bettering Ella's life, and Ella's life is better for meeting Emma.
Wow.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Of course, this was fun.
No, it's been bad. Let's not call. It's been a bad time. Don't.
It's been a terrible time.
You forget how much I love suffering.
That's fair.
Suffering.
She is the true Regina.
She is.
Her suffering is her happy ending.
If only I could look that good, though.
True.
I have a dream.
I don't know if I want to be her or be with her, and that's
fair.
Another question will be perusing on the show. I feel like it just gets worse as the Regina of it all goes on.
Fair. Yeah. No.
I wish I didn't have to wait till season 7 to come back, but also I'm not really interested in anyone else's stories here.
But also, I'm not coming back.
Yeah, there's a Rapunzel moment. We're forcing you back on.
Oh, that is
true.
No. Oh, and there are several.
We retcon that so many times.
Oh no! So you get to come back soon. But then guess what? You get to pull double duty because there's Rapunzel in season 7 too.
Oh dear.
Dear indeed. And that one's really gonna upset you.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I'm dreading, but excited.
Oh, you're gonna be so livid. Oh, it's gonna be so much fun.
Look,
it will be.
I'm surprised I wasn't more livid at this episode.
I'm really impressed.
But I tried to rein it in. I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt.
Yep. You're so nice.
Nice job.
I'm a very giving person.
You are. Well, and the good news is the week really can only
go up from here.
We're in a rough place. There's one way we can go.
Up.
Thank you all for listening to whatever this has been.
It's been a terrible time, but
we have our list.
Oh my god!
I'm so angry.
We got so mad.
So we were angry about
We're so ready to clock out of this episode.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
done.
So, family
Family
tree.
tree. No real additions to the family tree because Ella or Ashley is not on the family tree. That's a separate
It's her own island.
situation. And we do not have any marital relations and or children to add any sort of details there. But we do have
Oh,
2 new additions to the Fuck Fern, though again, one is kind of their own island.
that's fair.
First, of course, we have Ashley and Sean, Ella and Thomas. They are a confirmed relationship. They get married. They're
Good
kind
for
of
them.
off on their own thing because nobody seems to be connected to anybody else.
Well, but they're
They're
there.
there.
They're there because
They're there
reasons.
because they're a confirmed relationship. The big news on Fuck Fern. We now get to put Graham on the Fuck Fern. He is
Ooh,
officially we're gonna go with fuck buddy relationship. 'Cause
nice.
we don't really know
Solid.
much more about it.
Standing dick
Yeah,
appointment.
standing dick appointment
You know-
for Regina. So good for her. Get it, girl. We support.
Indeed. We do.
And that's all we have
Graham,
there.
for the record. I'm kind of glad he's one of, I guess, spoiler, one of the only permadeaths because
Good.
I love him and I don't want him ruined.
That's fair. They let him leave before they destroy his
That
character.
is true. I mean, therein lies the blessing of permadeath on Once Upon a Time. You do
This
tend
is
to
true.
get a more succinct and better story arc.
So it's better.
Where are we on all of our counts?
Yeah. Bean count and curse count. Still nothing happening. I mean, we have the one main curse. Nothing else really happening with either of those. We do have an addition to Emma's superpower. And this one, I went back and forth a lot because I wasn't quite sure how to interpret it. But I'm going to take the moment where Mr. Gold stares at Emma and says, "Oh, my merchandise has been taken." And she says, "Oh, let me retrieve it for you." And doesn't immediately clue into, "Oh no, you're not talking about an item, you're talking about a human baby."
Right. And I think we were discussing it earlier, and the deciding factor in that being a fail rather than just he's lying by omission and therefore we're not counting it as either a lie or a truth is that the show treats it like it was a lie.
Yeah, Emma confronts him and says, "You lied to me." So she's admitting it was a lie that she did not detect. Therein, her superpower has failed her, bringing her fail count up to 6 out of 8 total tries.
Fun. 6, and we're only 4 episodes in.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, it's worked for her twice.
and one of them was introducing the idea of the power.
Correct.
It's
We're so proud of her.
It's not the most reliable of superpowers.
No, it's more of a mediocre power.
Does the plot require it?
Then we don't need it.
We
Exactly.
Yeah, so we are literally at a 75% fail rate.
Not looking good for Emma.
Yikes.
Those are just the ones I've captured. It's very possible I've missed some.
You're only looking for the most egregious moments.
Yeah, the ones where it's now hang on.
Right, where there's a plot thread hanging.
Precisely.
You're not going and being pedantic and being like, "Oh, this character in small talk lied to her."
Now I can actively say this has been a bad time.
This has been a terrible time.
Nothing good came of this except for Keiliy.
The
this
only
was good.
good part.
Part was good. One good
Thank you
thing.
so much for joining us, Keiliy.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Your Ella expertise.
I am a certified Ella-ologist.
Yes.
I certified myself, but people
counts.
ordain themselves all the time, so I figure I can get a certification at least.
Absolutely.
I'm still waiting for your Microsoft Paint
certificate to arrive in the mail. But
That's fair.
Don't test me. You've seen what I can do.
oh, we do.
Yeah.
Keiliy made our logo because she's
I
wonderful.
was just about to say how the only good thing we will ever have on our social media, she created, and we love her for
to
it.
do it. It was a great moment of just buckling down and trying to figure out. I think the worst part was the fonts. Finding a font that kind of
That's
matched
fair.
was
It
a
was
horrendous
perfect,
experience. It
though.
was kind of like the show.
A bad time
that's
all
a
around.
bad time.
So it's on brand.
Yeah, the rest of it was fun. So it's like those one-off episodes
go.
that you're like, okay, this was fine.
They're
I
the
guess.
breadcrumbs.
We need
They're
them.
the breadcrumbs through
Yep.
the forest where you're like, wait, good.
This
I
is
liked
fine.
this. I had
Hey.
fun. We had fun last week.
We did.
And
We
then this
did.
episode happened.
And then this episode.
And then here
And
we
who's
are.
to say what next week will be?
I was going to say, buckle up. We'll see what next week has in
Episode
store.
5.
Oof.
Whew.
Well, have a good week, everyone. Thanks for joining for whatever this has been.
It has been so
Bye everyone.